Hey guys, and welcome to this commentary. So I'm gonna, throughout this year, be doing a challenge to max out my deadlift. Who am I? I'm Timothy. I'm a fitness instructor, but I've stopped for a while to do a master's for work health and career. So basically what you can see me doing now is the deadlift max I did in 2017. And now I'm trying to get back. So this is a preserved set of 180 kilos. As you can see, my form's a little off. So basically what happened is I'm coming back from the Christmas break where I had like a poor diet and I was just doing calisthenic movements, so not really squat, bench or deadlifts for 2 weeks. And during the second session after coming back, I actually almost tore my glute and hamstring, so it's just, I'm being very cautious. It's quite difficult for me to get into position, so I'm just taking it a little lighter and being safe, focusing more on bracing and keeping my back quite tight, and also bracing my core. So generally that's what I'm trying to do here. As you can see, the set's already getting better. I mean, this is a lot better than the first set. However, it did feel quite difficult. I was also quite bloated from the Christmas break. I mean, poor diet. However, each set seemed to get better and better. I ended up doing 5 sets, I believe, but the fourth one, the recording got messed up. So yeah, that's rather unfortunate. But yeah, that's for that. It's going pretty well. So, well, I did max my deadlift in 2017. That was at the beginning of the year. And I basically pulled 200 kilos or 440 pounds pretty easily. I did it around 3 times, and I was at 80 kilo body weight at the lightest. And that's actually when it moved the best. So that's generally when I am able to lift really well, between the 80 to 85 kilo range. I did come down from being 105 kilos in 2016, so that was quite fun. I think the dieting was a little bit harsh at the first point, but once I got lighter, it was nice. These I've been doing quite a lot, so these are going to be sets of 20. I started off with 100 kilos, but I've worked my way up to 130, and then of course coming back I've taken a little lighter, so 125 kilos. And it's been really helping my deadlift a lot doing these. I'm definitely conditioning, but it is rather brutal. My hands sometimes scrape against my high socks, and then that will cause me to bleed a little, but man, it is what it is. Gains got to be made. So that's generally like the best accessory movement I've been doing, and it definitely has helped me at least have a lot better form with my deadlift. As for me, I'm 23 years old. You can see I'm pretty weak, to be honest, for someone who's been lifting for 6 years, and that has been generally bodybuilding with like powerlifting movements on the side, so the squat, bench and deadlift. Yeah, my max deadlift is around 200 kilos, so I'd really like to get that up, and that's why this year my goal is to exceed the 200 kilo lift I did. As you can see, I'm really struggling with these sets of 20. I'm usually having to take a break after 15 reps and then just catch my breath and come back at it again, so really out of condition. But once I get used to it, I'll be able to get all 20 and hopefully eventually pull the weight back to 130. And this year I'd like to get to around 140 kilos with this, doing a set of 20. I think that'll also, if I'm able to do that, then having the new max for the deadlift should be no problem at all. As you can see, throughout all my deadlifts, I'm using straps. Generally my grip's fine, especially with these high reps that I do. However, the reason I'm using straps is not really for the sake of me having a weaker grip. It's just more because I can then concentrate more on my form. And then, of course, you have to look at the longevity. If I'm able to concentrate more on my form, less risk of injury overall, and that's what generally I've noticed has helped me quite a bit. So yeah, as you see, I'm taking 2 breaks with this one. It's definitely a struggle coming back. Also, I'm bloated. I'm not used to having all these vegetables, so I've just been eating a bunch of crap, so all the fiber coming in is really bloating my stomach. Yeah, you can definitely see it over there. Nevertheless, it's been quite good. So yeah, this is the 3rd and final set. Usually I just do 1 set of 20, but I'm trying to do a bit extra, and hopefully that will pay off. And also, whenever I can do extra training in the gym, I will, because as a master's student, it takes up a lot of time. So usually my hours are only, my workouts are only like an hour long, but for now, it's, if I have an option to do some extra accessory movements, I will. And that's why I'm doing these extra 2 sets of 20 reps. If you can even call it that. I mean, I'm like hardly managing to get sets of 15 here without having to take a rest. So that's generally was the first session coming back after I slightly tore my glute and hamstring. I was pretty impressed that I was able to do it. My legs felt incredibly sore. I had squatted the previous day and also benched heavy. So generally I run a program that repeats itself after every 3 weeks. The first week will be more of a HIIT session, so that'll be 6 days out of a week where I do the powerlifting movements followed by a very high intensity accessories. Then it'll be kind of the same for the 2nd week, except instead of the high intensity shorter workouts, it'll be more of a bodybuilding focus. And yeah, that's generally what I have there. And then this week's a little different. It's only 5 days out of a week, but I'm doing highly frequent powerlifting movements. So I'll be squat, benching, and deadlifting 3 times during the week. And this is one of the better accessory movements that I've also been executing recently. It's been really good, actually. It's really helpful. So these are basically weighted hyperextensions. The range of motion doesn't need to be that great. All I'm doing is trying to keep it in the point of tension. I will do 5 sets of these. So just film this first one, and it's a superset, no rest in between pretty much Romanian deadlifts. Just hit the hamstrings and finish them off. No need to go crazy heavy with this. I mean, I've already done all the deadlifts and stuff. This is generally just to condition that posterior chain. And I found that I didn't really notice any benefits for this for like the first month of doing it, but just after half a year of including these in my routine, I've definitely seen a huge difference in the muscular buildup of my posterior chain. So it's definitely helped. For sure. And I decided to do an extra accessory, so I normally wouldn't do this, but I just decided to do non-weighted hyperextensions, just to really finish off the lower back. Usually I won't have time for this, but university's not too intense right now, so I'm seizing the opportunity to do a little bit more exercise. And this was another superset, so I would do this non-weighted hyperextension just to failure for 3 sets, and in between each hyperextension I would I believe switch over to a cable pullover. And generally what was really fatigued by me was my forearms, so this is all I could really do to finish off my back. And both of these movements I think are very good for contracting the back. Generally that was and still is my favorite body part to train. So I did start off being more of a bodybuilder, as most gym bros are, but what ended up happening is I just got more into powerlifting. But when I was doing bodybuilding, back was definitely my favorite body part to train. I don't think that's changed. I mean, for example, during the Christmas break, every second day I was doing 1 hour pull-up sessions, so I really do enjoy these movements. So this basically wraps up what I did for the first day of coming back, really. And to be honest, my back was absolutely smoked after this. I could not really move afterwards for the next rest of the day. But however, the next day back at training, I did lightweight squats and heavy bench, and now I'm doing more of a lightweight deadlift. So this is sumo, as you can see, kind of more of a frog stance sumo, but usually I do manage to do sumo pretty well, but I'm just getting back into it again. Yeah, I'm definitely a conventional deadlifter by trade, but I found that doing sumo and getting out of your comfort zone is definitely really good, especially for learning how to brace at the beginning of a deadlift. I think that's something conventional deadlifters don't really appreciate as much. They'll just generally attack the weights and then struggle to lock out. But if you really brace yourself at the beginning, then the lockout comes easy, no matter how heavy the weight is. That's what I've noticed. So that's why I'm doing a lot of these sumo deadlifts as well. It's not my main lift. I mean, it's only 160 kilos, but I think it's just really helped me overall. And yeah, I started that with some heavy cable pullovers. Again, it's one of my favorite accessory movements, just for the general upper back development, which, as you know, is kind of key for having a strong deadlift. Of course, my form is still rubbish here. I mean, you'll hopefully see within the next few weeks that my form is going to get a lot better. It's just I'm getting back into the movements, so the motor pathways aren't particularly on point right there, but they're doing the job. So yeah, I did 5 sets of these. They honestly, they felt fairly easy, but it's just my legs were completely fried from the day before, and the fact that I'm coming back from an injury, and the fact that I'm coming back from hardly having really trained legs within that period where I was just doing upper body movements, like calisthenic movements during the winter break. I mean, I had like 2 leg training sessions. That was sprints in the snow, which absolutely destroyed my legs, but to be honest, that was all I did for legs, so they definitely are feeling it. And I'm just thankful that legs are actually my dominant body part, and upper body has always been really small, so what I've had to work really hard for, but it is what it is. As a natural lifter, you have to kind of accept what you're given. So yeah, this is the 4th set. Started to get a little bit better with her motor patterns, but I was just so tired that the form again is not really as where I'd like it to be. And that's also something I noticed when filming and looking over these clips. It's definitely good to review how the form is like. You don't realize how your form's like until you really film yourself and critically look at it. So yeah, and I said this, like I said, this is the end of a workout, so I'm completely fatigued, but I'm happy how they went for a starting motion, starting back, so that was good. Yeah, and I had difficulty bracing my upper back properly with these sumo pulls. Definitely remember that. As you can see, my traps are taking way too much of a load. Usually my whole back is much more engaged. So that's why I'm shaking and not necessarily rounding my back, but it's not as flat as I'd like it to be. So that was it for the Sumo lifts. I had a day to rest up, and by that I mean I did heavy squats and pretty light bench but heavy tricep work, and then was back at it again with deadlifts for the final day of this week. Did 4 sets of 8 here with 160, back to conventional where I'm more comfortable. However, I was completely bloated this session. I can definitely tell you that. You should be thankful the audio isn't playing. But yeah, these sets of 8 were killer. I wasn't really able to get them. I had to just do a set of 5, take a breather, and then finish off with 3. And that was kind of the case for all of the sets. But yeah, I hopefully will have time to properly recover and tackle it next week and see if it gets any better. Generally, it was actually quite good though. This was more of a fun session. Only doing 4 sets for deadlifts was really nice, and the rest was more back work. What you don't see is that I spend usually half an hour warming up. So that'll be movements like the deadlift, of course, laddering up with weights, but also, for instance, with this session, I did barbell rows supersetted with chin-ups, and generally just warmed up the back. So usually I'll do stuff to warm up the back and the core before my deadlift sessions, and I find that that's really helpful. And if I don't have sufficient warming up and stuff, it generally will lead to injury. Yeah, the set moved a little bit better. I had a friend on the side encouraging me on. Hadn't seen him for a while, so that went really well. But yeah, I was quite happy with how they were starting to go. So definitely tell my body was getting more used to it now. Yeah, but I think also I was feeling highly dehydrated, and I always work out in a sweater because I like the warmth. So that didn't really help. So I had to take a little break and drink a lot of water, but ended up finishing the sets in good time. Didn't have to wait too long in between sets to recover, so that was really, really nice. And yeah, I feel like I slightly overextended my back in the beginning of the week, so I was just being extra cautious, really trying not to overextend. That's why I injured my lower back beforehand, but now it's actually being quite okay. So all the injuries I've had a really bad shoulder injury and a really bad lower back injury, and everything other than that has been quite minor. This is the last set coming up. I think this one went the best. So yeah, generally it went quite well. I'm kind of happy that I haven't lost all my gains over the 2+ weeks that I've not been really lifting. Squats, I had to take it a little bit less than the weight because the day beforehand, because I just wasn't really sure how my legs felt. I felt like my hamstrings were about to fall off. But it was only like 5 kilos less for my heavy sets free, so generally I was quite happy with that. And yeah, I think that's these deadlifts finished. And I was happy to finally get deadlifts done, and that's my butt. So back at it again. We're doing the hyperextensions, the weighted ones. I'm just really concentrating on just bracing my back, keeping everything really, really tight, keeping it within the range of motion where the tension is constant. So that was actually really, 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 really nice. And this is the first set of 5, but I can tell you at the end of it, I just got really pumped up. And same thing here. So constant tension, but for the rear delts. And I found that I've been doing a lot of rear delt training recently, and it's definitely helped with deadlifts for sure. You don't notice it in the beginning, but after a while of just properly developing your delts in your upper back, deadlifts do come a lot more easier, especially with bracing your upper body to actually manage the weight. So there's a lot of guys in powerlifting who strictly just do squat, bench, and deadlift. Definitely important to do accessories. Speaking of accessories, so I did 3 sets of these. So these are 3/4 front levers, so not all the way, because I was just too fatigued to do them all the way. But yeah, definitely very good for engaging that upper back. And with the sets after this, I actually held them for 5 seconds each time. And yeah, supersetted it with chin-ups. These were just really, really good for generally getting a really nice pump. So, and also just stretching out and finishing off the upper back. So a little bit of jerking here, but I just generally wanted to finish it off. And I had extra time this week, which was nice, so I decided to do some extras. So I did some really wide grip chin-ups, and I believe just did 5 sets of 5 here, and supersetted each of these, I believe, with rows, with cable rows. But yeah, as I said in the beginning, before I started deadlifts, I did chin-ups, so my back was already pretty fatigued by this point. And yeah, I supersetted it with some supinated grip rows, just to really punish the back. And I have to say, it worked well. It worked really, really well. And you might not see the range of motion is really on point here, but as I said, it's just really finishing off and emptying the tank per se. So that was generally what I did for deadlifts and the main accessory movements to help the deadlifts. This was the last thing I did before going off and training some calves at the end of the week. Very close grip chin-ups this time. A lot nicer stretch with these, and I just supersetted it with some curls. My arms are a natural strong point of my physique, so generally I don't really train them that much, especially because it just doesn't appeal to me. I much prefer to train my weak points, the delts and chest, are the things and the back are the things that I really do like the most. Actually with time, like my delts and my back have actually become more of a strong point, which is nice. Chest is still weak, and so is bench, unfortunately, but it is what it is. You have to accept the cards you've been dealt. But yeah, there's no excuse not to train those weak points. So that was it for training this week. I was actually quite happy how I was able just to get through it, to be honest. And hopefully we'll see some progress through the weeks. And please let me know what you guys think. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, the commentary, and thank you for watching.